has 8 minutes.
Okay, Corla, you could say a lot about the events of the last week. I think one thing you could say is that it has been a shambles from the point of view of the government. Minister Coveney, who is charged with responsibility for the housing emergency in this country and who should be devoting every minute of every day towards addressing that emergency, has had to put that on the back burner and run around trying to sort out a crisis of his own party's and his own government's making in relation to the bins. The last week has also been interesting in the sense that it has revealed who exactly this government and successive governments have allowed to take control of the vital bin service industry in this state. Companies who were prepared to ruthlessly exploit the opportunity offered by the opening of the pay-per-weight window to, in some cases, double prices, in other cases, treble prices, and in doing so to hurt the old, to hurt the sick, to hurt the people who are on low incomes. And if the government and the minister attempt tonight to offer a version of move along now, nothing to see, that's not going to wash, because these events show the need now to open up a debate about what is the best way to organise waste services in this state. Something is clearly very wrong with the way it's operating at the moment, and change is needed. But what change? Now, the government are operating a model of privatisation. It is a crazy model of privatisation. There is no other country in Europe, to the best of my knowledge, that organises its waste services the way that waste services have been organised in this country, with the exception, I think, of Poland. It is a model which has been consciously chosen by the Fine Gael party in alliance with Labour in the last government. Yesterday's report in the Times Online showed that this was consciously chosen in 2011 when pre-planning was taking place for the introduction of pay-by-weight. At that time, the government considered and weighed two alternatives. The other alternative was, it was also a privatisation model, but with a greater element of state regulation. It would have meant the local authorities having a de facto licence, and then a competition whereby the service would be franchised out to one operator in a local authority area. It's the model that's used in most European countries. The Times said that in Finland it produced savings for consumers of up to 40% on their bins. But Fine Gael consciously rejected that model. They did so, according to reports, after being lobbied by the Irish Waste Management Association. And previous Minister Phil Hogan, as well as being Minister for Water Charges, was Minister for introducing this crazy model of privatisation. Now, the Taoiseach hinted in his contribution in the House today that he might consider going for an alternative model along the lines sketched out there in relation to the local authorities. But it's too late for that now. You see, the bin service operators, who are known for having trampled on workers' rights, who are known for having ripped up waiver schemes, have revealed themselves to a greater extent than ever before as ruthless profiteers, probably operating a cartel in reality. And the question begs to be asked, why on earth would you allow companies like this maintain control over this vital service in this state? Far better to reverse the privatisation programme entirely, to give control of bin services back to the local authorities, and we would argue to scrap the bin charges altogether. The Minister no doubt would say, well, where are you going to get the money to finance this? Well, there would be very significant savings for a start to be made on the bill that is picked up by the taxpayer every year for cleaning up illegal dumping. As a member of Cork City Council, I was told by senior officials in the Environment Department that there was a more than tenfold increase in the level of illegal dumping at the time that charges were introduced. This is a hidden cost of privatisation, a hidden cost of bin charges, and a form of corporate welfare, and would make a significant contribution towards a publicly owned bin service run by the local authorities. I want to focus in my concluding remarks on the issue of wages and conditions in the industry. These workers provide a vital service in society. If bins were not lifted for 1 or 2 weeks, you would see just how vital that work is. And yet the wages and conditions, it's like a story of capitalism red in tooth and claw, and it is not a pretty picture. The average work week for many workers in this industry is 50 to 60 hours a week. It's not unknown for some to work 70 hours a week. After tax, many drivers bring home less than €400 a week. Many operators, not much more than 300. A large percentage of the workforce do not receive overtime, do not receive sick pay, do not receive holiday pay, and are organised through agencies. A reasonably fit worker should be able to move 600 to 700 bins in a 10-hour day, but workers are being asked to move double that, 1,400 bins a day. It is not possible to do that pushing 1 bin at a time, which is best practice. 2 bins at a time is what is done. There are big health and safety implications, particularly towards the end of a shift. People are tired, particularly in crews that are two-man crews when they should be, in my opinion, 3-man crews. And as a result, injury is common and death is not unknown. A lot of this work is put on the shoulders of immigrant workers in this state. Already this year, there have probably been tens of thousands of workers who've been farmed out to the industry through the agencies. Many of the workers last in the job 2, 3, 4 weeks, can't maintain it for much longer than that. There is a huge churn. The Minister met the Irish Waste Management Association. He would do well to meet the workers who work in the trade, and if he listened to them, he might open his eyes to the real scandal that is going on in this industry in terms of wages and conditions, something that needs to be seriously addressed. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Deputy.